We got delayed by a day thanks to a holiday, but we are back and we have the JJK chapter 266 manga spoilers. Thankfully there's no POV change this week, so let's just jump right into it. We start off with Megumi and Yuji is listening to Megumi's soul. He tells Itadori that he wanted to create a world where his sister, Tsumiki, wouldn't have to face the unfairness of the current world, and that even if he couldn't maintain it, he wanted to try as long as his sister was in his sight. This is really awesome. It's crazy to think that somehow in the middle of all this domain expansion foolishness with Sukuna and Yuji is still able to connect with Megumi. It really shows how strongly he feels for his friend. Megumi continues to explain to Yuji what his ideal world would have been, and it includes things like watching the sunset, doing laundry, walking side by side with a person like you, meaning Yuji, which we do have to totally take a second to acknowledge this. This is absolutely Megumi confessing to Yuji how he thinks of him as his best friend. But let's keep going. He wanted to see his sister off every day and to think to himself, I'm so happy. Basically, he wanted to find all the beauty in the small things. Speaking of the small things, if you guys enjoyed this video or any of my videos, feel free to like and subscribe. We are trying to grow the channel and every little bit helps. Thank you. Megumi starts to become emotional and tries to end the conversation early, but Yuji doesn't let it end there. He starts telling Megumi about his life. He talks about how his grandpa was diagnosed with cancer and how he didn't want to do chemo, and so he decided to go out his own way. He talks about how because he was built tough, he didn't quite understand how his old grandpa could want to do that. He didn't get the pain that he was going through, and he just wasn't there mentally yet. But after going to Jujutsu Tech and going through all the suffering he's been through and seeing all his friends suffer as well, he started to understand his grandpa and the tough choices he had to make. This is really big stuff coming from a character like Yuji. I think it's such a beautifully human aspect to this character. Gege is really out here giving his characters some of the most realistic emotions in shonen currently, and it's just peak. Yuji tells Megumi that he gets it. He tells him, I can't tell you to live right now. Basically, he knows how depressed he is, and instead of trying to be fake happy, he just wants his friend to know that he understands him. If you've ever known anybody that suffers from depression or have gone through it yourself, then you know that that is really a profound statement. Immediately, we cut back to Sukuna and Yuji in reality, quote unquote, and Sukuna is able to get out Hollow Wicker Basket, and then he tells us that he's unable to use Gojo's RCT replenishing technique due to the lasting effects of Gojo's domain on his brain. And that's when the narrator chimes in and tells us that although HWB and Simple Domain are weaker in output than a regular domain, as long as he keeps his hand signs intact, he will be able to make up for that lower output. Gege gives us more of their amazing fight choreography. We see Sukuna and Yuji just trade blows back and forth, which ends with Sukuna sending Yuji flying with a mean hook. Sukuna tells Yuji that he's even shocked with how angry he's become by being looked down upon. But suddenly we see Megumi as a child where he met Gojo for the first time, and instead of Gojo we see it's Yuji, and he goes on to ask him the same question as he did with Gojo. What's with that face? Yuji answers with tears in his eyes, it'll be sad without you. The way Gege is drawing Yuji in this panel is just heartbreaking, because without even going further, we already know what's going to happen just by the emotion in Yuji's face. But wait, the very next panel we see Sukuna's leg being sucked into the shadows as Megumi begins to fight back. Yes, it's official, as Sukuna states that even though he drowned Megumi's soul with his bath, the Brat's dismantle is bringing him back. He also reminds us that Maharaga is gone, and so is the 10 Shadows technique. Sukuna's family inherited curse technique is going to be his downfall, and I absolutely love it. As the battle is heating up, Gege drops his drippiest panel yet, with Yuji and Sukuna going blow for blow, punching each other in the face, and really giving us that old school JoJo's Bizarre Adventure vibes. Eventually, Sukuna loses the fisticuffs battle and is forced to activate HWB, and even tells us that his RCT is useless against his nephew's strikes, and HWB is about to break. But because Gege is the ultimate Sukuna Sukuna glazer. Slashes come flying out of nowhere, and Yuji's cursed tool, which was his gauntlet, breaks into tiny pieces. Despite what Sukuna said earlier, he was somehow able to use Gojo's technique for renewing his RCT. Sukuna, on the up, proceeds to open his domain, but is shocked when he finds out that Yuji somehow is faster and has already opened his. Oh man, I am getting some purgatory vibes here. Like maybe Sukuna is in a loop and he's been trapped inside Yuji's domain since the drop, because when did they even leave that slice of life domain? Did I miss something? I feel like the pieces are coming together for me, but let's keep going. Hopefully we'll get a solid answer. We don't get any answers yet, as the chapter ends with a shot of Sukuna's missing finger strung up somewhere that we don't quite know yet, and all I can think is there really a world in this JJK universe where Nobara is alive and they're going to use her technique to kill both Sukuna and Yuji via soul resonance with this finger? I have no idea, my brain is melting, but what an epic way to end the chapter. Let me know what you guys think down below. Either way, I am so hyped for next week's chapter. Thank you for watching, guys. Again, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.